Hip hop.
J-A-Y. Well, our God is extraordinary. Man, and he deserves no ordinary worship. Man, we thank God for that. I don't want to keep on singing and keep singing.
Our time stands as 8:30. We go live from the studios of Studio B and bring on to us another day in the sports talk, man. Brother Michael Jenkins, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Tater, and good morning to everyone. Happy New Year to you. Hope you all are doing okay and looking forward to a prosperous, happy, healthy New Year. While I'm on the topic of health, I don't know what we're going to do, folks, but the carnage in the streets continue. Uh, like there's a week or two that goes by without some news of some youngster being shot down in the street. Happened again about a week ago. Young man, 17 years old. You know, the sad thing is this. I think that the people who are doing the killing and the people who are being killed are the same group, and I don't think that those who are doing the killing realize that when you take a life of someone, you're affecting their whole family, their whole generation, like basically forever. It's just not the one person, and that's bad enough. But on top of that is their whole family that's affected. Children, mom, dad, aunts, uncles. That person has been removed from that family forever. It's something that needs to be thought about. It needs to be thought about real hard because, I don't think that it was the plan or the vision of the leaders of the past, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, and so many others. I don't think it was their vision that they would fight and die for the betterment of the people to get to the point where the people are destroying themselves. So, anyway, whatever. That's where I'm at with that. It's sad, it's terrible, and it needs to stop. It's not helping anything. I was riding home yesterday and I was thinking about Jakari Worley, a young man from Mullins who last year this time people were just starting to find out about who he was. And I think everybody knows now who he is and that he is a fabulous young basketball player. And he's not done yet. He's that good. Um, and I look at his numbers, and it's really just kind of astounding that how well he's doing. Less than 12 months later, after me discovering who he was, then now he's putting up, major numbers, and he is one of the key components to whatever it is that Mullins is planning to do this year. I mean, he's a big cog in that whole mindset where, and I spoke to Eric about him I spoke to Eric about him, and he told me that that's been one of the biggest changes for his team. He didn't really expect him to come out like that, but he said once the kid got his attention, he was like, okay, now we got something else. Him and Deion Ford are really the linchpins for what Mullins does this year and how well they do it. Yeah, they have a great supporting cast, a lot of outstanding role players to to be there to do big things for them when they need them. But I think if it's going to happen for Mullins, these two guys, Dakari and Dion, have to be you know, big parts of that. So, hats off to these two gentlemen. I want to take a quick look at some stats here. And, okay, so Dakari is just a sophomore, right? And his numbers look like so. If I can ever get the numbers. Hmm. Yeah. But in their last game, it looks like he scored 18 points. But what I wanted to get was his overall stats for the season because that's where it's even much more impressive than just one game. So, me doing a dance with the World Wide Web this morning to see what I could pull out of it. But so far, okay. So, this season, this is what his numbers look like. Okay. Played 15 games according to Max Prep. They may be off a game or so. But he's averaging almost 16 points a game, 15.5, 3.9 steals. So this guy is going out and getting the ball back for you almost 4 times a game. From taking the ball from other people. And then on top of that, he's averaging almost 10 rebounds a game. This is not a big kid, you know. He's kind of slender built, but he's built rangy and long, and he's quick, and he's got great athletic ability. And that's why when you see the 9.6 rebounds, part of that, a lot of that, when it comes to rebound anyway, is effort. And he's proven to be, you know, a kind of kid that's given the effort every time he steps on the floor. So, hats off to Dakari. He's one of the players that you are going to be talking about for for the next couple of years. Because, like I said, he's got 2 more years. 2 more years to spread his magic, and he's only going to get better. But I want to take a look at their other star, or big star, leader, if you will, and that's junior guard Dion Ford. He's established already. He came onto the scene a couple years ago, and he established himself. He's only a junior as well, so he'll be back. He and Dakari are going to run together for another year. And that ain't going to be good for everybody. So, Dion's numbers look like the following. Of course, I'm trying to kill airtime here by saying that, but because, you know, when you're operating with, and really, it's really not the internet. I really need a new computer desperately. This thing here, man, I'm sure it's done all that I could ever have asked of it, but it's old. Speaking of old, somebody has a birthday next week. It's going to be me. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but let's just say that I have a daughter that's going to be 46 years old, so that gives you some idea of how ancient I am. Folks, bear with me, please. Well, anyway, let me get away from this. I'll just skip on to take a look at where Mullins is right now, and at this juncture of the season. And this is a very key part of the year because right now we're looking at, today is the 11th. Basketball season will be out of here in the next month. So these next couple of weeks here will be critical for seeding and some teams who are still on the outside looking in, even getting to the playoffs, doing enough to get there. But Mullins right now is at 13-2, and they're 4-1 in the region, and that places them second at this time. I didn't realize the region was going to be this good. Um, when I think about the school at the beach, and I didn't realize that Manning was a team. Because a couple of weeks ago I was talking about Mullins possibly running the table, but they ran into a little roadblock this week down in Manning, and they lost. So apparently there's more in this conference than Mullins and the team in Conway. Apparently there's more, and Manning has stepped out of the shadows to kind of throw a wrench in things here. They are no cakewalk, obviously, and Marion has them two more times. But Mullins went through the season, really pretty. They kind of breezed through, starting with Scotts Branch. They beat them easy. Some school named RPCA. They beat them by 30. They beat Myrtle Beach by 20 plus. They beat Waccamaw by 13. That seemed to have been a tough game. Georgetown got them back in November. Beat them by 13. Then, of course, they breezed through Hemingway twice in a row. They beat St. James, which, is a 5A school, 60-52. Atlantic Collegiate Academy, I watched that game in Mullins, and Mullins got them by 2 points in overtime. That was a heck of a game, by the way. They beat Marion 60-35, beat Lake City 64-39, beat South Brunswick 66-38, beat Richland Northeast 72-34. Before they lost by 4 just the other night to Manning on the road. They came back the very next game and they beat up East Clarendon 66-42. And it says here on the 14th they will play Kingstree again, and they will be at Kingstree. The next game after that, according to Max Prep, is on the 21st, and they take on Atlantic Collegiate Academy. On the 24th, man, I tell you, this thing has really breezed by. They get Marion again on the 24th in Mullins. Then they travel to Lake City, host Manning in the rematch, travel to East Clarendon on the 4th of February, and they finish the season off at home against Kingstree. Now, that's February 7th we're talking. You realize that's just a few weeks away. And after that, it's playoff time. So, rankings-wise, let's see where Mullins is as far as where they are ranked. I think they're at least still 3. I'm pretty sure they're 3. So they're in an excellent place right now as we head into the final few weeks of the season. Mullins looks to be in great shape. Now, it's Marion that has had their struggles this year, but they seems to have shaken off some things, and they seem to be on the right track right now. But the rankings are, Mullins right now is ranked in the state number 39, but we want to get the whole rankings here. Yeah, here we go. But as I said, Marion is starting to turn things around a little bit. They won 2 or 3 games in a row over the last week or so. So they're kind of getting ready for what they know they're going to have to do. And They have a tough task ahead of them because, as I said, the conference ain't no cakewalk this year. No cakewalk at all. So, looking at the Class 2A rankings, it is topped by Atlantic Collegiate Academy with a record of 9-2, and they are the top team in Class 2A. They are followed by High Point Academy out of Spartanburg, and this school is kind of new as well. They were created just a few years ago when I first started hearing about them. So you still got the academies ruling the roost right now in Class 2A. Then Mullins comes in at number 3. Eau Claire is the 4th ranked 2A team in the state, Class 2A. And then you have Andrew Jackson, who is a perennial contender, but they just never seem to break away and win. They're ranked number 5. Manning is the number 6 ranked 2A team in the state. And I asked someone last night, who's Manning's coach? Because in Max Prep, they don't have a coach listed. I had heard that it was Reverend Sean Johnson. And this friend of mine confirmed that it was Reverend Sean Johnson as the head coach of Manning. Sean's former Britain's Neck player and coached at Marion and was in Dillon. And so Sean's got the coaching bug, and he just can't seem to shake it. I mean, I want to say he's either the superintendent of that school district or some other big position down there. But he's been in administration for years now. So here he is getting back to coaching after so many years. But his team right now is ranked number 6, followed by Chesney at 7. York Prep is 8. Landrum is 9. Philip Simmons is 10. The 11th team is Burke. Burke is one of the traditionals down there in the Charleston area. And on the statewide level, they've been contenders for years. They won some state championships. I remember playing at Burke many years ago as a JV player. And the varsity games were lit because the Burke fans are crazy fans and they know basketball, and it's a great program, and they've been able to maintain it for all these years. So after Burke, you have Hampton County. They are number 12. Lake Marion is back in the hunt. My old family's from down there. They're ranked number 13. Clinton is 14. Saluda is 15. Bridges Prep is 16. Then there's Lake City. And believe it or not, Marion is still being looked upon as a possible contender. Even though they've had many more losses than wins, they're still ranked number 18 in the state right now in Class 2A. As I lost to Sumter by 2 points. Oceanside Collegiate, they got beat by them. They got beat King Street, lost to Dillon, a game I did see. Lost to Mullins, a game I did see. A game to Atlantic Collegiate Academy, a game I did not see. And then they lost to Bethune-Bowman before beating Calhoun County, beating Edisto on consecutive games, convincingly, and then handily beating Hunter Kennard Tyler for their 3rd win in a row. Now, Marion has not had a lot of winning streaks this year, obviously, with only 5 wins. This is obviously their biggest winning streak of the year. So this is positive. There seems to be a game scheduled for today versus South Florence. And that's a good thing, because I hadn't seen a game in a couple of weeks because of various reasons. On the 14th, they get Manning, and that's a home game. So they have 1, 2, 3 home games, 4 home games in a row. according to this. Or is it 5? 4. 5. This is a nice little home stretch if I'm reading this right. But after South Florence, they got Manning on the 14th. On the 17th, they got East Clarendon. And then they're going to play Loris on the 20th. On the 21st, King Street. 24th, Mullins. 28th, Atlantic Collegiate Academy. And their season ends on the 11th, but before that they have Lake City, Manning, and East Clarendon. So, nice little win. It's always nice to have a winning streak of any kind, but when you've been having some of the struggles that Marion has had this year, a 3-game winning streak looks like gold. I think a part of Marion's problem this year was they got off to a little issues with discipline, and where people didn't play. Key players did not participate. Suspensions and the like. I think that has helped to kind of derail them a little bit and kind of thwarted their efforts to move on and be the team that people kind of expected them to be this year. But they're in pretty decent shape right now. Of course, the conference is going to be key. If you can make some ground there, then they're going to be in excellent shape. Let's take a look at the conference standings here for a second, so we can see where everybody is. So this is Region 7-2A. And right now, at this very moment in time, okay. So it looks like Manning is in first place. No. Yeah. Yeah, Manning is unbeaten at 2-0 in the conference, sporting also a 9-2 record overall. Mullins right now is in second place at 4-1. Atlantic Collegiate Academy, excuse me, is in third place, and then Lake City at 2-2 is in fourth, followed by Marion at 1-2, King Street 1-3, East Clarendon is winless in the conference so far after 3 games. So we're looking at, Marion has got to, they got some work to do. But there's still time. Looking at the girls for a minute, you have Marion girls right now are in second place in the region at 2-1. Lake City leads the conference at 4-0. Then there's Marion. Then there's King Street at 2-2. Manning girls are 1-1. Mullins girls at 2-3. And then you have Atlantic Collegiate and East Clarendon. East Clarendon is winless in the conference so far. But Mullins girls have been doing decent lately. They lost a close one the other day. Marion girls, who are ranked, are in the mix. Let's see. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the NFL playoff that's coming up this weekend. And it's called Wild Card Weekend for a reason, because it's really, really wild on Wild Card Weekend. But you got some very interesting teams in it. You have you got some people under pressure here. And I have to admit, my friend and my number one player in basketball and football, Lamar Jackson, they kind of got to win this year. because everyone is waiting for him to fail so they can say that, see, we told you so. He's not a real quarterback. You know, he's not a traditional drop back. Um, he's really a wide he's really a wide receiver. He's really a running back. All those things. And all those things will resurface if he gets beaten in the playoff, especially early. Now, he has a big game today against the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team he's not had a lot of success against. But if he were to lose this game today, he would not hear the end of it. So, Steelers and Ravens today, they play at 8 o'clock tonight. Earlier in the day, this is an AFC deal. You have the Texans, who've been shaky lately. We're not talking about the Dallas Cowboys here today, okay? I said the Texans, so don't get yourself all in a twist. We're not talking about the terrible Cowboys today. But the Texans and the Chargers do a dance at 4:30 today. Tomorrow, the Buffalo Bills will tackle the Denver Broncos. The Rams and Vikings. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. I think I messed something up here. The Rams and the Vikings will take the field, and the winner will be facing the Detroit Lions. The Buccaneers and the Commanders, and this is one of a lot of interest because the fact that South Carolina used to be Redskins territory, Redskins country back in the day, before they started bringing in people like Charlotte and even Atlanta. The Commanders, excuse me, the Commanders were South Carolina's football team. And they've had a resurgence of sorts this year. New quarterback, young guy, doing well. Buccaneers are going to be a tough out, though. Commanders are a 6 seed. Bucks are a 3. A game of great interest to me as well is the Eagles versus the Packers. And the Eagles quarterback and the Packers quarterback have both been kind of banged up. The Packers quarterback has got a bad elbow. And the Eagles quarterback got hit in the head a couple of weeks ago. We ain't seen him since. Concussion. So you don't really want this kind of thing going into a playoff. You really don't want your quarterback hurt. But right now, that's what we have in that one. Kansas City Chiefs are obviously the favorite because of their season record. They only lost, I think, 1 game or 2. It's obvious why they would be contenders, the favorites to win this year because they've been winning like forever, almost every year. They didn't look as great this year as they have in the past, but they're still going to be a threat. And Baltimore, if they're going to get to the Super Bowl, has to go through Buffalo and or Kansas City. I like their chances. I think this is the best team they've had in the last, 3 years or so. They have pieces, and I think that they can get it done this year. And I want them to get it done because Lamar Jackson needs to validate himself with the haters that he is truly as great as his 2 MVPs and quite possible 3 suggest. Anyway, folks, that's all the time I got. I'll be back next week with more. Have a wonderful, safe week. Watch those slippery roads out there. Later.